27-yard run.
There you go. Come and get you some, Mayfield. There you go. Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
Oh boy, Roadrunners, do I have a lot to unpack about Saturday. That was some Saturday. And yes, I'm saying Saturday, not just the game. Check it out. On my way 10 East from Houston, get in San Antonio. I'm about a mile from 37 North headed to the Dome, right? There's an instant backup, an instant kind of pile up. Next thing I know, there's a man running across a freeway. Like, what the hell? Like, is he like one of those random people that run across freeways that you read about that get hit? Usually that happens at night, right? No. There were two SAPD officers and another officer that looked like he was in some kind of a blue shirt. I don't know. It wasn't full SAPD dress. Well, anyway, the guy tries to stop a car in front of us. The truck to the side of us was swerving out of the way, and I had to slam on my brakes, and I'm on the shoulder of the road, and he kind of gets in front of me because he can't slow his truck down. We're doing 65. No one is speeding. It's not like everybody's doing 80. And the guy comes up to that truck comes to a complete stop. He tries to pull on the door. This ain't California. Us Texans are smart. We keep our doors locked. I've never seen a state where people are clearly pulling other people out of their car. Just lock the door. Roll your window up. But anyway, he takes two tasers. It looks like two tasers, just wipes them off. He starts heading towards the car. The wife's like, calling my name. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I can't go anywhere. But a fleeting thought was bump him. But then I realized I'm not driving my car, so my personal vehicle, so I wasn't going to do it. So I just stayed there. I think the guy realized it was up. He couldn't go anywhere. SAPD, take him down calmly. Female officers on him, not the male officer. So there's no beating him up or anything like that. Craziest thing I've ever seen. Craziest thing I've ever seen. I just asked officers, are you all good? Do you need me? They said, no, we're good. So I drove on to UTSA. Now that leads me into the game. Now this is the funny thing, right? We get to the game. That game starts. And I don't know, it was like it was a full moon or something for our offense for that first half, wasn't it? They just weren't in sync. They weren't playing their normal style of freeness. That leads me to, I think they were tired. We talked about them being tired, right? I did anyway. I said that's a tired football team. And man, the fans even felt a little out of it for that first half because the weirdest thing was they just never got into it. And I think when we had that chance and Sackett missed that field goal, I think the fans kind of got their wind, the sail taken out of the wind taken out of their sails. Man, I'm telling you, it's still all over, right? I'm still reliving it. And the team just offensively just wasn't in sync, in rhythm. I've got some complaints that I'm going to bring up about that, right? But defensively, holy cow, this team was not going to give up rushing yards. 22 carries, 22 yards. And frankly, that last touchdown, if we had multiple timeouts, I think we stuff them, right? I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we didn't because that gave us time to come back down the field. But you know as well as I do, if someone were to say, hey, UTSA is going to hold North Texas 22 carries for 22 yards, you want to bet? How many points you giving me? This is North Texas voter. We'd all say 17. We'll take UTSA minus 17. We'd all lose that bet. There's no way you would look at those stats, given that stat specifically, and say, oh, hey, we cream them, we mollywop them, we monkey stomp them, we dogpile them, right? But what happened? We had to win with 15 seconds left on the clock. What a catch. What a catch. What a catch. That's a beautiful, beautiful catch. There's this guy, PSC Highlights, and he did the final landing of it. And Stadium did a really good job. If you happen to watch it on Stadium, did a really good job of carrying that final play. I mean, that final series. How many times are we going to do this? Well, I'm going to tell you. So watching Inside Runner Sports, Greg Luca and JJ Perez, Greg Luca said that Jeff Traylor is 16-6 in one possession, one score games. I mean, sub touchdown, right? Now, if I do my math correctly, I believe we played 12 games in 2020. We played 13 games in 2021, 14 games in 2021, and we're now 8 games in. That means since he's been our head coach, over 50% of our games have been one-score games. Man, that is tough. This team is resilient. And to win, what, 16 of 22? To win 75% of them? That's incredible. That is absolutely, absolutely incredible for the resilience that this team has. But it leads me to my complaint. What I noticed about the offensive coordination and the play calling was a lot of wide receivers were running the same depth. And by that I mean that if there was 15-yard patterns, I saw 3 guys running 15-yard routes. They might be spread out across the field, but when they're playing a 3-man rush with 8 men dropping deep, you're running your wide receivers into that. Nobody that I saw was running a flight pattern, and this is going to be a problem. If it were me, and I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm taking Carpenter, our fastest guy supposedly, or one of our fastest guy. I put him in the slot up on the line on outside the tackle. And I just sprint him 5 different times in the game. I don't care where that ball is going. It's going to be a pass play. And the best part is it would be a pass play out to a running back coming out of the backfield. So I'm telling you, you run him in front of that wide receiver on a post pattern. Wide receiver. You run him in front of that linebacker there. And then you run him straight at that safety sitting back out there as fast as he can run. Brady or Smith or Barnes, they're going to be wide open on that side of the field, especially if they take their time getting that way. Act like they're blocking. They'll have yards in front of them. And then it's going to keep that safety deeper. And then all those short patterns to our linebackers, not linebackers, good Lord, to our tight ends in front of those linebackers or near the linebackers are wide open because you're going to create a level. You're going to create a level because look at Frank's interception. Why were there 2 wide receivers right there? They were only like 5 yards apart. That's either miscommunication on the wide receiver's part or that's coordination. And I personally don't like that. I personally don't like that. Now, another weird thing, and I meant to mention this earlier, another weird thing was apparently there was a scuffle because UNT thought they stopped us on that 4th down. And let me tell you something. They did stop us, except for Franklin reaching that ball out. His knees weren't down. The replay clearly showed it. His knees weren't down. He reached out with that ball. And when he went down, his ball was in his hand. His knees were down. He was down. But he got that 1st down. And that was an effort just like Cephas, right, against Western Kentucky. That was a beautiful play. Beautiful play by Franklin. Beautiful play. Beautiful play. That's one of those games. Those are those hustle plays. Those are those plays that you realize you've got something special on your team because they know the situation. Situational football isn't too big for them. And that was amazing. And apparently he dropped that on a 4th down play against U of H. And that's the same 4th down play he dropped against Texas. Now, the funny part was against Texas and against U of H, he gets at least 15 yards. That play was set up far better against those 2 teams than it was against North Texas. So you got to give it to North Texas. North Texas brought the defense, and they brought an offensive coordination. Frankly, out-coordinated our offensive coordinator. They had wide receivers running wide open. we were stopping the run. We were fully expecting the run, and they were throwing the ball. They threw the ball all over us. Now, the irony is that they only got like 350, sub 350 yards total offense, right? Because they only got 22 yards rushing because they threw the ball for 323 then, right? It was an amazing defensive effort by our kids. And when North Texas got behind us, there was only that one long touchdown where he ran over our free safety, right? But past that, they didn't do anything past us. We ran them down defensively. So we had the speed, we had the size advantage. Them staying in the game was a full testament to how prepared they became. Now, if you watch my last video, what did I tell you? Don't be surprised if this isn't the hardest game we play for the rest of the year. And was I right? Oh, I was right. Absolutely. This was clearly the hardest game so far this year for UTSA. Clearly the hardest. Now we got a bye week and we go into, I don't want to say the most important game of our last four, because believe it or not, here's how the last four games are playing out right now. You've got UAB with already got 2 losses in conference. So if we beat them, they're out, right? It just helps us stay undefeated. If we go 3-1, we're guaranteed a spot in the conference championship game. If UTSA beats Rice in that 3-1, then we host the conference championship game against either UNT or Western Kentucky. I guess it could be Rice again. Rice could do themselves a favor and win out, and I don't know if they would have the tie. I didn't look at their schedule, but I'm pretty sure UNT and WKU play each other again. Okay, so now let's talk Brendan Brady. Let's talk Kavorian Barnes. What an incredible rushing attack. Now, part of it was because they were only rushing 3 and dropping 8. But let me tell you something. When Barnes gets that ball, he is lightning in a bottle. It's only a matter of time. If teams are forced to play our pass defense, right? Our passing offense the way North Texas does, these kids can run the football. These kids can absolutely run the football. It was beautiful to see how Brendan Brady, situational football again, on his first touchdown, you saw him stretch. You saw he knew he couldn't drive his legs anymore, and he stretched his body out. He stiffened up, and he put that ball over the goal line, right, from 1 yard out. It was an incredible performance from Brendan Brady. It was one that it was long coming. He's had his moments, right? What he lacks that Traylon Smith has and what Sincere McCormick has, that stop and start ability. But he's got the slow read, and if he sees a hole, he hits it fast. He doesn't look like he's as fast as he is. He's faster than you think. And his important part is his ability to get out in the open field and make plays with his hands, right? Catching and getting the ball going forward. It was amazing to watch. That patchwork offensive line. I know Frank got sacked quite a few times. But a lot of that was the way the game was just playing out. I mean, we were down. We were trying to hit the home run ball. And that's where I come to every pass pattern. Well, not every. Most were about the same depth, 15 to 20 yards. And you kind of made it easy for their defense, right? I would love to see a little bit more swing passes for the running back coming out. Like, just get it to him quickly and see what he can do in the open field against one-on-one. And then maybe he gets 8 yards. Maybe he gets 15 yards. Maybe he gets tackled at the line of scrimmage, right? But I think that ability is there. Now, maybe this offensive coordinator is really setting teams up, relying on the defense to make stops. And while the defense made stops, the defense still gave up big plays. And that's what was funny about this game. It was like a Halloween weird game. It wasn't even Halloween. It was a full moon. So from my perspective, I told you about what I saw on I-10 East right before 37. Just watching this game, it was like, this is the weirdest Saturday ever. And then coming home For whatever reason, I-10 getting into Houston was a crap show, right? And went around the way, found myself on some dirt path, trying to get around it, managed to get around it. And then you have people road raging because they're so mad of sitting in that line, waiting to go forward. It's just weird. It's just right outside of Sealy, and they really need to get that to 3 lanes. They need to get that to 3 lanes fast. Stat. You've got the 7th largest city connecting with the 4th largest city in the nation. I mean, and that's the only way basically in and out, because that's where 90 connects there. That's part of 90. It's not like 90 goes north of it and comes south of it any decent way, shape, or form, right? And it's just one of those things, right? So they need that fixed. Stat. So I know this is a little long, a little rambling, but I want to give a shout out to Dadrian Taylor. He did his little Spidey thing. He got himself a sack or two, a tackle for a loss. This defense really played tough, knowing that we lost Rashad Wisdom for the season. Apparently his left arm was in a cast, so he's having season-ending surgery. Coming back next year, and that's great to see. We need everybody to come back. We need all those guys coming back. Tell me what you think. Tell me the vibe you got from that game, because I would like to hear it. There's some other things that I want to bring up, and I think I'm going to save that for a different video, because this video's already gone a little long. And I know YouTube people, and I'm the same way. I really don't like videos much longer than 15 minutes, and I know I've already gone 16 minutes, and I've got to get Mayfield's interception celebration in there. He almost had himself a pick 6. And then another interception. Like I said, it was like almost anything that could have gone wrong for the Roadrunners did, until it didn't. We squibbed it, and guess what? That they balled it. They were going to have to bounce it around a couple times. There's no way they were going to go with it was going to be 8 seconds by the time they had, even if he downed it right then and there, to go 70 yards. I mean, stranger things have happened, but they were definitely setting up for the flipping and flopping and whatever you got to do. The old Cal versus Stanford. The Stanford band's on the field. At least our band was still in the stands. So it was something, and then we fell on it. I mean, these kids are not going to give up that trophy. Not going to give up that banner, not without a fight. We got to give it to these kids. Anyway, Roadrunners, peace out. Tell me what you felt for that game. Tell me if you were at the game. Tell me what you felt. And if you weren't, tell me what you saw on TV, because that's a totally different perspective. Totally different perspective. Just tell me what you saw. Anyway, peace up. Birds out.